Hello. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm talking about some experiences that I've had with the medical um, community and about having faith in Jehovah. When um, when I grew up, um, we had a lot of respect for doctors, so much that they were really held in high esteem. And I considered it an honor when our family doctor hired me for 2 summers during my college years. I was going to school in Indiana, but I would come back to Detroit where my mom's family was, and I worked in the family doctor's office. And the first summer I worked as a receptionist, and the second summer I worked as a patient assistant. And I witnessed all kinds of drugs being administered, and I gave injections, even to babies. Okay. And the drug representatives were seen as a type of Santa bringing us free gifts. Okay. And I even had a crush on one of the doctors. He could have been 25, 30 years older than me, and he was Jewish, and sometimes that made him seem wiser and superior. Where that myth that is better for the Jewish doctors or Jewish lawyers or whatever. I know my grandmother had a Jewish doctor, and she wouldn't go to anybody else. Even a podiatrist, because he'd have to be the one to cut her toenails. I had a lot of scales over my eyes, and I'll tell you an example. Back in, I'm trying to think of when this was, when I was living in Michigan, but at a different time than what I was talking about earlier. I lived and sometimes I had to think about what house I was in to figure out what year it was and when all this occurred. But I would say I was like in my 30s, okay? And so the doctor had me on statin drugs because my cholesterol was elevated, all right? And I have since come to know that sometimes elevated cholesterol may be genetic, and we do need some cholesterol, but we need to look at the good cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and some of the ratio between it before we start putting people on statin drugs. And these statin drugs can have all other kind of bad side effects. I so much believed in the doctor that I know it was at least 3 different times the nurse would call me and she said, we noticed from your blood test that the statin drug is having some kind of effect on your muscles. Stop taking it. Don't even take it today. And we've sent in another prescription for you to go pick up and to get on another statin drug. Okay. Now, the third time they did that, I went and got on it. But then after that, I said, hold on a minute, because I began to feel some things in my muscle. So I said, no, this can't be right. So I just got off of that. And then when I was in Alabama, there was a guy, and I wasn't on statin drugs then, but there was he raised raised cows. But anyway, he had a bunch of cows that was in the property right next to mine. Okay, and he had a herd, and sometimes his herd would get out and they would be in my driveway, and I'd have to call him to come down there with his truck, and he would kind of get them out with he'd have feed that he'd have to drop and would leave them back. And so I was talking to him one day. He was a real friendly guy. And so he was telling me, he said, yeah, I had to get off them statin drugs. Some things started messing with my legs. And then there was like a confirmation that what I had done, was correct. And so he said he hadn't had no problems since he got off those statin drugs. Now, when I got to South Carolina, and Floyd and I went to a doctor, and Floyd's cholesterol was a bit elevated, but not a lot. And so the doctor started talking to him about statin drugs. So I'm just sitting in the room, okay, just bringing Floyd there. So I make it be a second pair of ears to hear what's going on, okay. I ain't being treated by this man at all. Man don't even know me. Okay. So he looks at me, he says, "Are you on statin drugs?" So I said, "No, I'm not." He said, "Well, you ought to be on statin drugs." So when he said that to me, not even knowing anything about me, when he went out the room, because Floyd knew, he kind of gave me that look, "Sharon, don't say nothing." Okay, don't say nothing. So when he went out the room, I said, "This is gonna be your last time coming here. If this man gonna try to prescribe something to me, and he don't even know me." And that was the same doctor, that same visit when Floyd was dealing with diabetes. Floyd, so he said he wanted to do some diagnosis on Floyd's feet. And Floyd wasn't having any problems with his feet, but you go in and you stand on something that's like a scale, and so it came back that it was negative. And so you know what the doctor said? He said it's probably gone so far that they ain't even showing up. Okay, I gave one that look like my mom. The one I did like two like that. So I said, we ain't coming back here no more. And because you have to use your common sense, and you put your faith in Jehovah. You don't put your faith in doctors. Now I'm gonna tell you this. Father will, if you need it, will let you know you need to go here and this is what you need to do. And he can use doctors in your recovery or whatever it is. But you just don't put your faith in the doctor. You put your faith in Jehovah that you're going to listen to what he has to say. Okay. Now, I have learned over the years to put my faith in Father, even for the tiniest things. And some people may say, why are you bothering Father? But he is not bothered when it comes to his children. And I am his child. Okay. And I am his child because I'm in covenant with him. And I'm going to obey him. And he's promised me he's going to take care of me and he's going to bless me when I obey him. That's the agreement. Okay. So, this was one day that it was at HOI, and I was talking with a sister saint, and she testified about losing and then finding her wedding ring in a crowded airport last week. And then, I mean, that was so amazing. Okay. And then I casually brushed my hand past my right ear, and I noticed that my earring was gone. And I knew I had put it on that morning because the threads between the pearls was thin and might slip off the metal loop. And I knew that. Okay. And I knew that. But anyway, I put it on, and I was disgusted in myself because I knew better. And the earrings and necklace was a set that Floyd had gotten me, and really didn't want to lose that. And so then I thought, Sister Saint found her ring, and the Holy Spirit can help me find my earring. Well, I prayed and I began to mentally retrace my steps. Okay. And then, bam. I remember when I had gone upstairs, the rope type shoulder strap that I had on my purse had got tangled in my collar, and I had to yank it and pull it over the right side of my head, or whichever way I did it. And that was probably when the earring was jarred loose. Okay. Sure enough, it was right upstairs in the administrative office hallway. I picked up the earring and secured it to the metal loop. And because the threads at the top were loose, I slipped the metal loop through the more secure portion of the pearl and the design of it. And this made the right earring shorter than the one that was on the left side. But I thought nobody had noticed. And later I sat at the table with my sister Saint and told her my testimony. And her testimony has spurred me to call on the Holy Spirit for even a little thing like my earring. And I hope this spurs you to just put all faith in Jehovah. Ask the Holy Spirit to help you even in the littlest, the tiny things, because those things build your faith for the bigger things. And he always tells us, remember. How many times in the scriptures they say, remember, 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 remember when I delivered you. Remember when I saved you. Remember when I got you out of that calamity. We all have those remembrances, and we have to remember that when we face the next trial or situation. So I hope this has spurred you to remember and to keep your faith in Jehovah. Please remember to like and share and subscribe if you haven't. Shalom.